A very good morning. Welcome to Everyday Life here on Morning at NTV. Glad to have your company. Today we are talking about long-distance relationships. Do they work? How can they work? What can you do to have a long-lasting and fulfilling and productive long-distance relationship? Joining me is Alan Tazenia, who has been in a long-distance relationship for some time, and he'll be sharing with us his experience. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning.
Welcome to Morning at NTV.
Thank you so much for hosting me here. Good morning, our viewers.
How long have you been in a long-distance relationship?
I could say more than 10 years.
More than 10 years?
Yep.
Married? No, or was it relating and then eventually you got married?
I've been married now for 3 years.
Okay.
But relating for more than 3 years.
Okay.
Yep.
So tell us, obviously in your case it worked.
Yeah.
What were some of the greatest challenges?
To my opinion, it's not really the challenges.
Oh.
It is really how you respond to the situations you're in the long-distance relationship. Obviously, in the long-distance relationship, what comes in is the loneliness, the missing of the family, and that kind of thing. But the point is, how do you respond to that kind of situation? And for me, the whole thing has worked out from the background of being a Christian. Knowing that, first of all, beyond the communication, beyond the love, it is God who works out the relationship. And if you understand it from that aspect, it works out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you, in terms of trust, you hand over everything to God?
The love we share between wife and husband or the relationship, it's eros. But remember, with the perspective of God, He teaches you how to love your spouse, the other partner, beyond even the weaknesses that you see in them. So now, when that love develops from the love of God, it goes beyond trust. God shapes you in a way that you can trust your partner beyond any circumstance. So my opinion or my experience has been that from the Christian perspective, it works out because God works it out.
Okay.
Yep.
Now maybe for those who are not Christians and someone comes to you and asks you, Alan, how can I trust my partner? I've not seen this person for 8 months.
From the world perspective, it's not a Christian. Obviously, we shall give the general views, the general comments that they usually give on relationship. They'll tell you, keep in touch, communicate daily. With technology today, maybe call every day. Tell each other about how your day has been, and call up the children, teleconference or something like that. And that is the general knowledge, and that is acceptable. But the point is, when are you going to trust your wife, your spouse in a long-distance relationship? You've taken long, because when the suspicions come in, what will calm you down? It has to take a higher power up there to tell you, everything is well. I will work out your relationship by God and not by just, the communication and everything. That works, but you need God, a higher power up there to guide you in the relationship.
How can one make long-distance relationships special?
Special.
Yes. What are those things that maybe you did to keep, you've been in one for over 10 years.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you have done in the past, and what would you advise some people to do to keep them special?
In my particular experience, the long-distance relationship comes in because of the kind of work I do. Because of the kind of work, I have to go out of the country, and the children and my wife stay here. By the way, I'm married with one wife and 2 daughters. So when I'm out there, the experiences I get there, I make sure that I share them with my wife. If I'm in a country and the different cultural settings, the different issues in the country, I make sure that I call up my wife, share what I've gone through the day, what this country has to offer, so that I make them feel that they are part of me on a daily basis. I make them feel that, yes, you are at a distance, but this is how I am this side. This is how things go. And then there are always experiences out there when you go in a different country. What do I have to share? What interesting things do I land on that I send back to my family, that I share with them, so that on a daily basis, as we share, as I send these gifts and maybe the different cultural gifts out there, we keep in touch. So we make it special by keeping in touch, sharing the experiences in different countries and places, and above all, like I've said, it takes God. In
every relationship, there are conflicts. Now, when people are in long-distance relationships, you find that conflicts, in a way, are harder to resolve. Misunderstandings can easily come up. One is not able to easily read the mood. Something may be said, but you may not, you have maybe 10 minutes on phone, and you can't fully exhaust all the issues you want to talk about. How does one resolve conflict in long-distance relationships?
I think like any other relationships, there should be a mechanism to resolve the conflicts that come in. But one biggest thing is learning to say sorry. I remember one of the circumstances I had, men with their ego, sometimes it's very hard to say sorry. I remember one time we had a disagreement with my wife, and usually when we do, I used to walk out. As in, I walk out of the house to take fresh air, to take on some fresh air. So one of these days, as I'm walking out, I clearly heard the voice of God telling me very clearly that learn to say sorry. And that was my first time when I went and knelt before my wife and said sorry. By the way, I wasn't in wrong, she was in wrong. But I had to apologize. When I apologized, and after some time, she told me, you know what, by the way, when you apologize, I realized that I was sorry. So the point is, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who is in wrong. We need to learn to apologize. But above all, in a relationship, first of all, the satisfaction should first of all come from God. When you have a relationship with God, there's a certain satisfaction He gives you. When He gives you that satisfaction, that means when you become one with your wife, there's a certain satisfaction that comes from God, that even when this weakness comes in, you take it on, both of you. Other than saying, Sarah is my wife, is weak in this kind of situation, or is weak in this kind of area. But when the weakness is there, you take it on as a couple. Because if there's any issue, if there's any problem, you take it on as one person. Even in the long distance relationship, it's the same dynamics. We talk over this issue, but if there's any issue, it is for all. It's for both of us. It's not for Alan, it's not for Sarah. If there is any weakness, it's for both of us. And in that way, we handle all our weaknesses and all issues and we move on.
Would you say your long-distance relationship has made you a better person? Have you been able to grow as an individual?
I think any relationship is supposed to help individuals.
Yeah, but do you think with distance you are able to put things maybe in clear perspective? You have a lot of time to yourself, so it helps you grow faster?
I can say I can say I've had time. That is a fact. Because I like a lot of reading. I read much of church history, what is happening, and I'm being in this diplomatic life. It gives me time to read and commune with God. Yes, it has helped me grow individually, but as I grow, like I've said, I share my growth with her. If I discover anything in God, if I discover something in politics, in diplomacy, in parenthood, we share, so that she grows this side, because she also has a career. She's a managing director at Devoted Metalworks. She runs a business. As she discovers things in business, I discover things in diplomacy and in ministry. We share and we both grow at the same level, yeah.
Well, we're talking to Alan, who has been in a long-distance relationship for over 10 years. There is a number on your screen. Do call us up and share your experience with us. Did it work? Did it not work? What do you think are some of the keys to having a long-lasting, long-distance relationship? What are you doing? And maybe if it also didn't work, we would also like to hear what you have to say. I got this quotation. Tell me if you agree with it or not.
Okay.
I wonder why people underestimate the authenticity of long-distance relationships. I fell in love with his soul, and even before I could feel his skin. If that isn't true love, please tell me what is.
I'll insist on this line that you'll agree with me that even people who stay together daily, every day, some relationships have failed.
Yes.
So long distance, the distance comes in, but before the distance, there are those baseline communications that have to be in the relationship. Communication lines should be clear. Let us be open to each other. There should be compromise. We are coming from different backgrounds. You're coming from the west, I'm coming from the east. We should be able to compromise on each other. Understand that she loves this. I love it. I studied in Mwiri for 6 years.
Mwiri.
In Mwiri, a boys' school. I didn't know how to, to buy flowers, how to do these things, go and sit for ice cream. But the point is, there were those compromises we made to learn. So whether distance or we stay daily with each other, there are certain baselines that should be there, that you communicate, you love each other, you trust each other, openness, and above all, trust in God that everything will work.
We have a caller on the line. Good morning. Do let us know your name and where you're calling from and whether you are in a long-distance relationship. You're live on Morning at NTV.
I'm calling from Kamocha.
Yes.
I'm Thompson.
Thompson in Kamocha.
Yes. A long-term relationship works only when you already have children.
Ah, that's your opinion.
Yes, and when you have lived together for some time. But if you are still a young couple, no new children, a long-term relationship is a long-distance relationship is very tricky.
Okay, thank you very much, Thompson. I don't think you had children throughout that time. Do you agree with him or not?
The best line for me is not really the children. I'll say this. One, yes, before we didn't have children, later, now we have 2 daughters. But you know, when you come together, you become one flesh. That's what the Bible says. You become one flesh. And the same Bible says that, I am the God of the flesh. What is hard for me? For me, whether the children are there or not there, if God is not involved in that, it will become hard.
We have another call on the line. Good morning. You're live on Morning at NTV. Do let us know what your thoughts are on long-distance relationship. We have lost that caller, but I believe we have another caller. Good morning. You're live on Morning at NTV. Please go ahead. We can hear you loud and clear.
This is Ambrose from Chebando.
Yes, Ambrose.
So what I'm saying?
Yes. If you do listen to yourself, we will cut you off. Good morning. You're live on Morning at NTV. We are talking about long-distance relationships this morning. Have you been in one? Did it work? Did it not work? Do let us know and share your experience with us here on Morning at NTV. Hello.
Yes, my name is Brian from Nakasero.
Yes, Brian.
I want to be a bit honest.
Yes.
So, there's no two way about it.
Okay.
How do you have that? And don't overput God thing. Sex is sex, and a woman needs to sleep with her man, and the man sleep with the woman. The long distance, how do you handle that?
Okay, thank you very much, Brian in Nakasero.
I'll answer Brian this way. He's right. A woman has to be with the man at a certain point in time. But the situation is that the long distance relationship came in. You sat down and agreed and said, okay, I'm going to work or I'm going to study. So you agreed to leave. So you sat and agreed to leave. Now, while there, that's why I say that the challenge is what I don't want to term as challenge. They come in. But what sustains you through? It's the biggest issue. Yes, the mind to want to be with your wife will come. Yet the loneliness for the family will come in. But the point is, you went to study, you went to work. How will you handle it? If you're going to handle it by your own mechanisms, you will not handle it. You will fail to handle it. But that's why he might want to put out God, but without the higher power up there to get you through this kind of situation, you will not be able.
So are you saying long distance relationships without God don't work?
To me, it will be hard to work. That is my opinion.
Okay.
Without God,
it won't work.
It won't work.
What were your personal challenges?
My personal
as
challenge
Alan.
As Alan, when you go out there, first of all, it is obvious you'll miss your family. That is one, two. That is obvious. Then the second thing, and you're going out in a new environment. You're learning new things. You're learning new cultures. And you're interacting with very many people outside there. But at the back of your mind, if you understand the values that you stand for, you understand where this God has taken you from and where you're going to, what brought you there. When the challenges come in, you always face them. Yes, there will be temptations, women hitting on you. Yes, there will be temptations on several things coming in. But at the end of the day, you know who you are in God. So that's why I'm emphasizing God, that if you want to do it your way, yes, you can use your own efforts, you can call, you can do this and this. Yes, that will be there. But to what extent will you do that?
Okay. Would you organize or arrange for a surprise trip back home? Would you encourage other couples to do that, or should they inform their partners that they're coming?
No, that is okay, depending on how you relate.
Yeah.
I can organize one, but let the surprise not be based that, let me go and see what is she doing. No. Let it be based on trust, that the surprise is just to surprise her, pleasantly surprise her, not to check on her.
Or spy.
Or spy on her. It is okay depending on how you relate. It's very fine.
Okay, thank you very much, Alan here, Tiza Tanzania, who has been in a long-distance relationship for over 10 years, and it has worked for him. So there is hope. Morning at NTV will continue with sport, and I'm sure top of the agenda are the now 48 countries that will be taking part in the World Cup in 2026.